Let's talk DXB. Real conversations by real people.
Well, firstly, as people are seated, thank you so much. I'm actually overwhelmed. I didn't expect this crowd, so I picked this venue. I was like, yeah, we'll have 25 people. We'll sit around a table, and we're at like 75. So I'm very, round of thank you to everyone. I'm extremely overwhelmed, but I'm excited because we have Beth and Eric with us to talk all things money and manifestation, two areas that I've been personally working on and reading and researching, so I'm going to learn a lot as well from this. But I think firstly, I just wanted to set the scene with Let's Talk DXB. I don't know if everyone's watched the first episode. A lot of people are like, why did you start Let's Talk DXB? What was the first episode? For those that know it, my answer is usually like, oh, something about me and my life and something, but it was actually divorced in Dubai. So it came from a very vulnerable space, a very scary space. I never would have thought I would do this myself. And that's where we are now. 1 year on, I'm celebrating 1 year of Let's Talk DXB. Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for coming, for giving me their time. I'm very grateful. Every message, every like, every guest that comes on, honestly, I really appreciate it. And it's just really supported my own healing and journey. So let's get into the topic. There's quite a lot of people in green today, so I think we're manifesting money. Yeah, I like it. I should have worn green. The money lady herself. Yeah. So I wanted to kickstart and introduce Beth and Eric. And I'm not sure, has anyone listened to their episodes? It's fine if you haven't, but just so I kind of know, probably two of my best discussions, along with all the others that I've done. I learned so much from it as well, so I think we've got a really good group today to talk around it. So I'll start with Beth. Beth, give us a little intro. Tell us about your story, how you got into money, and then we'll kickstart a bit more.
Thanks, Sharon, and so lovely to be here with you all today. I am Beth Clay. I founded Finance Her Well. The end of last year. So my business is around coaching and empowering women to understand how to manage their money effectively. I'm not a kind of financial advisor as such in terms of like telling you where you're going to put your money in terms of products, but I very much have taught you through the process around how to save, how to invest, how to manage, but also your money mindset, which we'll come on to a bit more around that as well. My story is... So everyone always asks, how did you get into finance? But my dad, growing up, was amazing with the finances in the family, and he was financial director, brilliant. And I always remember watching him in the 90s and the big IBM computer in the hallway, like checking the stock market. And I was like, what is that? Like, it always felt so scary and everything. But then, sadly, he passed away really suddenly, actually, in my late teens. And that was a really turning point for me, because all of my childhood and growing up, he'd always managed the money, naturally, as he was good at it. But obviously, at that point, my mum then had to take over something that she'd never done before in her life. And it was like caught in quite a vulnerable position. Obviously, my dad had sorted us out with life insurance and everything, so we're all good. But actually seeing someone like my mum go through that, managing 3 children, and my youngest brother is severely disabled, and going through all of that on her own. So I basically, from that time, wanted to educate myself. So I spent my 20s and educating around money, understanding how to invest, how to grow my money, where to put it in terms of different assets and things like that. And I naturally became good at coaching women in general, and I noticed quite a lot around, a lot of my friends would always be like, I don't need to know about that, my husband does it all. Boyfriend does it, or my brother will take it on, or I don't need to know about that. And I'm like, you do, because at some point in your life, it may just be you. And that's why I've always wanted to do something around supporting women, and it came naturally to me, and I thought, this is something I really feel so passionate about. I created Finance Her Well, and very much a lot of that is around financial well-being as well. So more than just money being like the topic, we more talk about the relationship with money that you have, and how that can really influence every single thing in your life.
Yeah, and the reason why I invited Beth onto Let's Talk DXB, obviously I'm a single mum, one income, so I was very much went into a season of how am I managing my money, my one income to do all this stuff, look after my son, and I've always been able to be quite mindful of being resourceful, but I think when you have that of like, it's just me, so when I saw your content, I was like, we need to talk, because I think there's so much learning from that as well, so thank you for sharing. Okay, Eric. Who has watched Eric's episode 9, Broke in Dubai? Yeah? Okay. We're going to set the scene still because I have a vision board in my bedroom that I look at every day and every night because of after this conversation, I was blown away. So for those that haven't come across, I've taglined Eric above his CV, making the impossible possible. And if you haven't watched that episode, my facial expressions and my mouth is open, probably like 80% of it, because I was overwhelmed. So let's set the scene a bit more about Eric, your story, how you came to Dubai, what that looked like. It's going to tie in a lot around kind of manifestation and money management.
Yes, so thank you for having
Okay.
me. So for those who doesn't know me, I'm Eric, and I'm from Cameroon, and I moved in Dubai 7 years ago. And I didn't know how to speak English, and I didn't have any friends here, and I didn't have any job. I just moved here. And over the year, my first job here was a cleaner, and then after I was a waiter, and then I was personal trainer, and then I was real estate, and then I was salesman.
Wow.
And in between, I was doing some modeling job, but my mom never really wanted me to be a model, and me too, I was like, modeling is probably not a real job. And then COVID came, and it's been going on for like 4 years in Dubai of me hustling and doing a lot of job. And after 4 years, COVID came, and I became homeless in Dubai for like 3 weeks, sleeping in the parking lot of buildings, sleeping at the beach, sleeping on my friend couch, and right and there for like 3 months. And eventually, when I was thinking about giving up and going back to Cameroon, like something happened. I closed one deal that gave me 35,000 dirham, and I've never had in my entire life. And in 4 years of me hustling in Dubai, up and down, being waiter and personal trainer, everything, I've never really even made 10,000 for 4 years. But then suddenly I had 35,000 dirham. And for me, I was thinking about going back to Cameroon and never come back to Dubai again, you know, because in Cameroon that's a lot of money. But at the same time, I was like, so if I can see 35,000 dirham, that means I can see 100K. So I stay in Dubai and I tell myself, okay, I'm going to try to triple this money. And the first thing I did, and I got it right when I was homeless. So the first thing I did is I first got a car, and then I slept in the car for a couple of days, and then I put the first check on the house, and then I got a dog, and then I moved into my house, and then the money was gone. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Now I have the basic cover. I don't need to worry where I'm going to sleep, what I'm going to eat, you know, and I have comfortable bed to sleep. Now I'm going to figure it out how to make the next money to pay the next check. It's going to come. And that's where she have me here talk about the mindset. Because when you put yourself in a situation and you believe in yourself and you have no other choice than to pull it off, you're just going to pull it off. And that's what I did. Yeah. And today, obviously, I tripled those 35,000 dirham and even more. I end up doing something that I've never imagined, making 6 figures a year by not even working that much. Now I'm a superstar model, shooting for thank you. Shooting for big company, and I'm not even working a lot. I really love my job, by the way. So, and I was able to pull it off from nothing, 0 to triple that amount of money because I bet on it, because I was like, I have no other choice than to pull it off, and I pull it off. So that's why I'm here to talk about the mindset and the manifestation around my story.
Wow, yeah, thank you. Every time I hear it, I'm still shocked. Because if I got that 35,000, I'm out. I'm going back to my mum's house and I'm just going to eat there. So it's impressive. But one thing that when we were doing the briefing, I was like, one thing with Eric is his mindset around money and how he managed his responsibilities. So I think, Beth, the first thing I'd really like to get into is around like the personality traits around money and the different types of relationships. And everyone, let's see if you relate to some of these, because I want to keep it as interactive as possible. So could you run us through like some of these different personalities and relationships?
Yeah, so very much about a lot of the things that I kind of coach around is kind of moving from like a scarcity mindset through to kind of abundance mindset when we talk about kind of building wealth. So a lot of us have been, and many times in our lives probably will have felt this scarcity mindset of kind of this fear of losing money, this fear of or not being worthy of money, or it not coming to you. And that's very much kind of, there's a lot of work to kind of change your mindset around that. And a lot of the things we kind of talk around is very much kind of being appreciative of like having that gratitude for kind of what you have and having that open mindset of growth. But yeah, in terms of different money personalities, so I love this. I love the psychology of money. It is absolutely fascinating. Like everyone was like, psychology of money? Like I've heard of everything else, but not about. But yeah, so you have naturally kind of falls into about 5 different money hats. So you've got the spender. Obviously someone who spends all the money, like instant gratification, lives for today. And then you have the saver, someone who's senses kind of frugality, doesn't really treat themselves on many kind of experiences, but very much prioritizes sort of saving over anything else. Then you've got the hoarder. So there's a bit of a difference with that one, very much around somebody who keeps their resources close to them, so doesn't want to, so scared of losing it, so that's that kind of scarcity mindset that we talked around. But yeah, has that kind of sense of kind of doesn't want to spend, but also doesn't want to invest because they're so scared of that. Then you've got the YOLO, as I call it, you only live once. So who prioritizes those kind of like live in the moment, I'm just fuck it moments, I'm going wild, like I'm just living for today. And then you've got the denier. So the denier is someone who perhaps doesn't want to address a bill, but also doesn't want a budget, just does not want to think about money at all, end of. So they've got kind of like, and a lot of those different traits, you can be several of those, and you can be in different points of your life, you might be one over the other. And a lot of this, and I think we'll probably come onto this, is kind of very much shaped from your upbringing. And the people that you associate yourselves with and the kind of environment that you grow up in. So a lot of that has that impact on your personality, essentially.
I find that so interesting. I mean, I think I've definitely gone, when you're speaking, I was like, yeah, I've been there. I'm probably here now. I think when I first went through divorce and single parenthood, I probably went through that kind of scarcity mindset. All I ever talked about, if Anne's in here, my cousin, I have school fees to pay. Like literally, I can't do it. I have school fees to pay. But I realised the narrative was so negative and it was coming from fear. So before our episode, and that's another reason why I spoke to you, I was up from 3 a.m. probably to 6 in the morning. I was lying there. I was like, so Zane is 2.5. I need to get him to university. It's going to cost this. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to work until I'm 80. Maybe I need 4 jobs. Like I was spiraling with all this fear around it. So I think I've had to train myself to kind of change the narrative when it comes to money as well. But are there any tips? Like if someone like me that went through like a scarcity fear, what would you recommend to help yourself through that?
Yeah, so I think it's about keeping it small and manageable, right? So it's taking one step at a time and breaking it down. So I talk a lot around financial goals, and you've talked about a couple there in terms of Zane's education and like your retirement. I know we kind of talked on those different things. So I think it's around setting yourself up like, what is it that I want to achieve with my money, and just trying to think of it with a positive, open mind. And then you start to work backwards from that. Okay, so how am I going to kind of work from that in terms of, let's say when you're creating like a budget, how much can I think about setting aside to save, and the different savings buckets I like to kind of call, I have lots of different buckets for different things in your life. But there's all the different ways of kind of those mindsets. But I think it's like very much coaching yourself around, I am worthy, I've got this under control, I can deal with my money. And it's just about making it manageable and smaller and kind of addressing and acknowledging where is that fear coming from. Importantly, and kind of having those conversations with yourself before you then move on to okay, what's my action plan? Okay, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how much I'm going to be able to save, and this is how much it's going to...
That leads me to mindset. Because one thing, Eric, obviously you're earning more than when you first came to Dubai, and I said, you know, someone that's gone through lack, in terms of like the difficulty of being more of a hoarder, maybe personality type of like, I can't release because what if I never get it back? But it seemed like you were willing to release enough to then be able to build what you wanted. So how did you set your mindset and kind of your goals around that?
So talking about mindset first, I would like to like bring your attention on something like the book that I read, The Secret.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that goes around come back, you know. So for me, I feel like if I keep the money, like, so I have a very special relationship with money, first of all, because I grew up and not having a lot of money, and my mom always like scream about money. Oh, we don't have money. Oh, we can't do this. We don't have it. And me coming to Dubai and know the value of 1 dirham, because I'm sure there's people here in this room, they don't know what 1 dirham look like, and I've met a lot of people like that. But me, I know what 50 fils look like, and half of 50 fils, you know, because, you know, so being in that space for me gave me a very, very different perspective at looking at money, and made me enjoy more what I have now.
Okay, yep.
So, sorry, I was talking a lot and then I forgot your question. What was actually your question? So,
all good stuff, Eric, don't worry. No, I was just saying in terms of like adjusting your mindset in terms of releasing and spending, and for example, your car.
Okay,
you bought a car, right?
Okay, I get it. So, I personally believe that if I spend, like for example, when the first time I got the 35,000, and then I bought my first car, and then I pay my studio, and then the money was finished. But through the year, over 2 years, I've worked my ass so much, and I've managed to save almost 150,000 dirham out of modeling job, but out of a lot of other hustle job as well, you know. And then my car broke down. And I was going to shoot in Sharjah, so I needed a reliable car. I was at the point when I was going to the shoot in Sharjah, my car stopped in the middle of Sheikh Zayed Road, and then I panicked. And then that's like, I don't know, like that can be like a 3,000 fine, you know. And I panicked, and I was like, I can't be in this kind of situation. So I needed a reliable car. And also my studio, it was getting old, moldy, everything. But I put myself in that situation because in my mind, I wanted more. So when you ask more to the universe or to God, whatever you want to call it, it will bring a situation that will make you, like, you won't have any other choice than leveling up. So I had that money that I've been saving for 2 years, and I was like, for me, I was like, I'm just going to spend it because I know I can make double of this. But you need to have the confidence. Because for me, I've never had also in 2 years, I've been in Dubai almost like at that time 5 years, and all I had was 35,000. And then in 2 years, 140 something. So I was like, so maybe in 1 year, I can actually do 1 million. Why not? You know?
I like it.
So when it comes to money, I'm like, I'll spend, but I'll believe it will come back. Because once I spend, I will give myself everything, and I'll put everything for that money to come back. So I'm not afraid to spend money.
You're the
now.
spender.
Yeah.
You're the spender.
I'm a spender.
But not the YOLO.
Or the YOLO.
Not the YOLO.
I'm not the YOLO. I'm not the YOLO because I still know my priority, you know. But I know that I'm gonna make more, and I always make more.
But that's the right mindset, right? Because when we're talking about manifestation, you have to have the right mindset to then know you can build something else. I think I was saying before with Let's Talk DXB, a lot of this for the past year, I've had to really work on my mindset. Even today, Anne, who's probably at the back, I was like, no one's going to come. No one's going to book a ticket. She was like, why are you telling yourself this? I was like, maybe 20 people. And then, so I really have to program myself to like not talk negatively, to manifest what I wanted to build, like this idea 7 months ago. But what are some of the tips? Because after the episode we did, I look at that vision board every morning, every night. But like, what are the practical tips that you have done to be able to get through this? And talk through your vision board that you put in your bed space on a wardrobe.
So I had a vision board when I was jobless. I was still managing to live in a bed space. For those who doesn't know what's a bed space is an apartment which are maybe 3 rooms, and in a room there's 20 people living in that room with each small bed, which is like a prisoner bed. And then they give you a small cupboard where you put your clothes. And at that point, me, I was just dreaming. I don't think I was living it anymore, because I was like, this condition of life is so bad that and I come from like a normal family where I have a normal bed and food and everything. So for me, it's like I was dreaming. So I put a picture of a car that I saw on Sheikh Zayed Road, very beautiful car. I put that picture on my drawer, and I was like, you know, one day I'm just gonna have this car. And that car, it was costing maybe 70,000 dirham. And at that time, I didn't even have a bank account or 1 dirham to eat. But I just put it there, and every day when I wake up, I just looking at it. And to me, it's like I was dreaming, you know. And when the people who was living in the room as well, when they saw the picture, they were laughing. They were like, you're stealing food from us in the fridge. And you're putting this picture in your drawer, which worth like 80, 70,000, like, how are you gonna get there? But in my mind, I was just like, you know, I'm sure, I don't know how, but I just know, you know, and I've never gave up on that. Even when I was hungry, homeless or whatever, I still kept that picture, and I was like, I don't care, you know. It's either I die, and when I'm gonna die, I know that, okay, I didn't get it, it's over for me, but as long as I'm living, I'm gonna get this car. I don't know how. And yeah, I end up having the same car, same brand, same color, differently, like 2023, which cost more expensive. And I drove past the people who was living in that apartment on purpose, by the way. So that's the kind of mindset I have, where you just have to believe, even if it sounds crazy for people. If for you in your mind you believe, that's it. No one else need to believe. Like, if you strongly believe in that, like, that's it. That's the key.
Thank you.
And sorry, I'm just gonna add it. How more crazy is it? I even went for test driving of that car. I fake a driving license in Dubai.
Lawyers, we have some lawyers in here.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But they took me on the corner, and then I drove the car and then I came like dirty, sweating. And I was like, I need to know how it feels to drive that car. You know, and the guy didn't know, like, he just gave me the car, I drove it, and I was so happy when I left the car place. I was like, no, that's crazy, I'm gonna have that car. Because I felt it. It's all about what you believe and what you feel. So I believed it already, so I just needed to feel it. So I went, test drive, felt it, and I was like, it was mine. And now it's parked outside there.
Impressive. I wanted to go back to childhood, because you talked about relationship with money can stem from your childhood. So Eric, you were saying, you know, when you were growing up, this is what it looked like in your household. How can that impact like decisions now, actually? Because I feel like I'm always trying to figure that out. And what I tell Zayn or what he hears from me is so important. 100%,
yeah. So actually psychology says that our money mindset is actually formed from the age of about 5 to 7. It's really early. And that is very much influenced by the way that our parents approach money, or not necessarily our parents, but like it could be a wider family and the people that we associate ourselves with. So there's a huge amount of psychology that goes back to that in terms of, and very much the conversations I have with people are, you know, some people are like, I don't want to touch a budget because of, like, you know, when we use this in our family, like this just, it sends shivers down my spine because we were like on the breadline and this sort of thing. Or there'd be different ways in which they kind of think about things, or they come from families that might have had a lot of debt and that money might have been really scarce in the family, like, or they see their parents spending and then all the problems that came with spending because they were spending out, like, you know, to get out of debt sort of thing. So a lot of that and a lot of the conversations that I have, and that's a lot of that hoarder mentality that you see in a lot of people, do come from those relationships that you have kind of growing up, and then different influences throughout your life, really, because, and I think the thing is, being in Dubai often, right, like we are around a lot of that keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle, and all these people look like, you know, if we've got friends who've got all these flashy cars and this, but actually what we don't realise a lot of those times is kind of like, where is that money coming from? Like, what's behind that? Because obviously people don't talk about money so much, or like, you know, they like to show the money, but not necessarily the reality behind it. So then sometimes that feeling of inadequacy, like, oh, I'm not earning enough to have the same as them, and those are a lot of the conversations, and they obviously go on in our minds around kind of those conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so helpful. I think as well, because being in Dubai, that's why I called it Money in Dubai, because it is quite flashy. There's a lot to do. There's brunches, there's this and that, but trying not to fall into the trap and still being sensible.
Yeah.
Now, future planning, because quite a few people in Dubai, they don't think long-term necessarily about finances. They're here, they might want to go back home, they leave with something or nothing. What are some of the tips for like us in the room in terms of like if we're trying to future plan around our finances?
Yeah, it's interesting you say it, because I think one of the stats I said on the programme was about 60% of expats actually leave Dubai worse off than when they came here.
That's scary.
It's really scary, really scary stuff. But yeah, so there's a lot of, it comes back to the kind of like financial goals and being like reasoning kind of what you want to achieve in your life, right, with money. And what you're here for and what you want to achieve in the next sort of 2, 5, 10, 20 years or so. And so that's how I kind of talk around having different financial goals and different buckets for those different financial goals. So we talked a lot on the programme about kind of retirement and children's education. So there's investing as being one of those. So I do talk a lot about kind of thinking about investing, but in like, for instance, in the stock market, but doing, I call low risk, because a lot of people find investing, and this goes back to a money personality trait as well, of kind of people being very scared about money when they've, particularly if they've kind of seen it losing it all. So one of the things I think about is if you can try and put aside like 10 to 20% of your income each month for same as investments, if you can slightly more, but I kind of work on the kind of 50, 30, 20 rule. So 50% to go on your needs, so your mortgages and like the schooling and the things you can't go without, 30% on your wants, so your brunches, you're eating out, and then getting to that 20%, which is your kind of like saving and investments. But yeah, in terms of, like I said, there'll be different, different goals, you'll have different buckets. So the longer term, like the way that I approach investing is thinking about it over the longer term, because that then limits, like minimises the risk. And then also diversifying your money, particularly if you're thinking about on the stock market, across hundreds of companies rather than just one. So there's different ways, and I know we won't talk about investing for today. But
that can be overwhelming.
It can be very overwhelming.
But actually, I think once you learn more about it, it's less daunting actually. So I've started actually, Nina, we went to yoga. I never do yoga, but I went to yoga with Nina. And I don't know, maybe it was, she kind of you read me really well, Nina, because on my mind I was like, okay, I've got long-term planning to do retirement, and I've never thought about retirement. I'm like, I'm still quite young, but I still need to think about these things. And when
start thinking about it now, earlier the better.
Oh, and also I think it makes it more feasible. The earlier you start, right? You're not then 100%. Trying to chase your tail. But even if you are, like, you can still work towards
You
something.
can, of course. The earlier you do start with, obviously, retirement planning, like the beauty of kind of investing small is that the compound, your money kind of compounds over time, and that's where you really build kind of the wealth over time. But so
it's definitely, I've learned around kind of like investing being less daunting, because you get a lot of financial advisors in Dubai. I don't know how they get our numbers, but they call us every day and they want to sell this. I'm like, they're going to rob me. Scarcity mindset. So I'm like, no, I can't let go of this money that I need. But when we had that discussion, you actually normalise that it can be quite safe and you don't need that much in terms of starting, at least.
It's so true. Helps. Yeah, you really don't. I think I talk around this quite a lot. You can get started from really small amounts, and there's different ways to kind of like do it. So if you're like, I just don't want to touch the stock market, there are real estate investing that you can start from in Dubai, like as small as like 500 dirhams, right? So there's things like that. That you can kind of just to get started, and you can do it yourself, so you don't need a financial advisor. So that is my one big thing is you can manage it yourself. A lot of it does come down to like, you know, being open to it, but obviously understanding, like having a bit of that financial education, seeing the coach or different things to kind of manage that relationship with money. But for sure, like you can do it yourself without needing to kind of, and often, no offense to like financial advisors, but sometimes some financial advisors don't do as well actually as passive investing, which you can do yourself.
So there you go, guys. We can just learn ourselves and do it. It's possible. Eric, I want you to go back onto, because I think we still need to break down a bit more around this manifestation piece. Like, I know what your mindset is like, which is very impressive. People in the room that are trying to build a business or grow something that the goal seems unachievable, maybe, let's say, what type of practical steps would you give them? Yes, money is one thing, how you manage your resources, right, to be able to do it. But in terms of, like, what other practical steps would you give in terms of manifesting that and bringing it to fruition?
So for me, I think, like, first of all, like, for me, everyone is capable of doing everything. But I was having a conversation with my friend a couple of days ago, to even, it was about me, about wanting to do something. And he told me, there's only like the greatest thing, I don't know exactly what he said, but it was something like, the greatest thing, it's on the other side of fear. So I think people, like, what made me be where I am now is because at some point I really, really didn't care about what people thought anymore, because I was homeless anyway. What more can you think about me, you know? But so I feel like, but now that I'm not anymore, I'm good. I'm back to that mindset where I'm a bit scared of what people will think. So I have to get over that, and I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. Once you don't have that fear anymore, you're back to that mode that you don't care, you do it anyway. If it work, you work. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's
the judgment. I definitely felt that. Obviously, doing the first episode, I was like, "There's no way I can talk about my divorce. Like, what is my mum going to say?" Like, it was everything. Like, people are going to think this and that. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be sitting here with all of you today. Like, I had to push myself through those voices. It's hard, though.
Sorry. And another thing to add up is, people think that other people know what they're actually doing, but people don't know what they're doing. Because the truth is, that's your first time to pull out something like that. And look how successful it is. You know. But what's actually funny is at the beginning when I was talking to her about it, when we were talking the first month after she said she was just gonna do it, the first month she was like, I don't know how is it gonna be, blah blah blah. Like, who is gonna do what? I don't know. But she pulled it off. So for me, like, the lesson is, a lot of people don't know what they're actually doing, but they just do it. Like, same as me, I've never knew how to sell course online and how to do a bunch of things online. But at some point, I wasn't getting jobs at all for like 3 months, and I was like, I gotta do something else, you know. But still, I don't want to work for anyone. I don't want to interact with people, you know.
You're in a room of 70 people. Speak to Eric at the end.
And I'm saying that because it's been 7 years now. I've never worked for anybody, you know. So for me, I was like, I didn't know how to create things online. So I met someone who helped me through that, and he was just like, just start, you know. And I just thought, like, I had to record a lot of video in front of the camera, and sometimes it wasn't recording, sometimes the audio wasn't working, sometimes I booked the studio for 1 hour, I end up paying 3 hours, I'm crying in the studio because I'm like, I don't know, English is not my first language, I'm reading to a telegram, it was all messed up, but I put it off. And yeah, so I didn't really know what I was doing. And when I left the studio where I was recording the course, I called my friend, I started crying. I'm like, why you made me do things like that? You know I'm not British or I don't speak English, and you tell me to do this. You know I don't know anything about course and everything. He was just like, keep doing. I'm here, I'm gonna help you. Just keep doing, but you need to do it yourself. I'm not gonna come and do that for you. You're selling a course about you, about what you're doing. I can't help you on that. You need to do it. So I didn't have a choice, you know. So once I pulled it off, while I was doing it, I was saying to myself, like, I actually don't know what I'm doing. But it's been almost 6-7 months that I've launched the course, and I've been just sleeping and receiving notification that someone bought the course, and that's the best feeling ever. When I didn't even know a couple of months what I was doing. So point is, a lot of people don't know what they're doing, you know. So you just gotta start. Even if you don't know what you're doing, true. Just start and keep going.
Yeah. No, that's completely true, actually. And a lot of people, they cover it well anyway, so you have no idea that they're panicking inside.
Exactly. For example, even me talking in front of people, like, I think I'm so good at it. I think I'm doing so well. But before that, I was like, I told her, I don't think I can do it. Like, can you replace me and everything?
I was like, no.
But now, and even a couple of weeks before, I was like, are you sure you want me there? Like, you sure you don't want someone else? So because I didn't know what this was gonna be about. I didn't know how it was gonna be. But I just jumped in and I was like, you know what, it's happening. It's happening now.
Yeah.
And it's happening. Thank you
The right
for that.
mindset. Well, thank you. Thank you for turning up. I was worried for what I was like, has anyone seen Eric? Eric Tess, have you seen Eric? He came. Yeah, so thank you. I think it's definitely, you have to challenge yourself. I've learned that as well. Even when it feels uncomfortable or you're scared, I think that's the main thing as well. And being able to self-invest. I'm seeing Let's Talk for myself. I'm investing in myself fully. Like Let's Talk is one pillar, therapy, whatever it's taken. I've probably spent more on myself in this past 1 or 2 years to be the best or better version of myself, but being willing to release money to do that, because a lot of people would not really see that as an investment. They're like, why am I spending on podcast studios or etc.?
No,
I think that's also part of it, right, with money?
100%, yeah. And that's one of the things I talk about in having a healthy, wealthy mindset is investing in yourself, being one of the main things. And that could be anything from, like I say, financial education through to kind of like your business. And for sure, like I know for myself as well, I've kind of, as I said, watching kind of what my family went kind of through, and that I've had, you know, a bit of a scarcity mindset and that fear of kind of releasing money to gain money, and that's kind of been sort of a journey that I've been on myself, which is why I've kind of pushed myself over that comfort zone and kind of taking those risks where I can. But yeah, for sure, like even sometimes I was like, oh, that feeling of like investing in yourself and parting, but you're right, like money creates money, and I do believe that. And
so I just want to add, when she talk about being scared of money, I've had an experience with that. So before you guys know, like when I was broke, I wrote on my note, which is still on my phone right now, I wrote on my note that I wanted to make 100,000 dirham a year. And at that time, I've never even made 10,000. But I just wrote it on my note on my phone and I left it there. And over the year, I've made more. So that was a blessing. Thank God for me. But lately, because I want more, so what I did is, because remember what I was saying, you need to believe and then you need to feel it. And I believe I can have more, but I've never felt. I never felt like I had like maybe let's say 500,000 dirham. So I needed to know what does it feel like to have 500,000 dirham. So I went on Amazon and I bought fake money, prop money.
What? I didn't hear this in the podcast. Okay.
That's new actually.
This is a new one. Okay.
Yeah. So I went on Amazon and I brought prop money, which looks like real dollar, and they delivered it to me. And they delivered it was prop money. It was $250,000. And of course, I've never made that money, and I never seen even that money. So it came to my house, and I was so excited. It looks so real. It felt like I have $250,000. So I put it next to my bed. You know, I peeled it like that, and I slept. The next day, when I woke up, I panicked when I saw the money.
You thought it was real?
I panicked. So I was scared. I was like, for a minute, I thought it was real, and I thought I had so much money. But the thing is, if you in real life, like a lot of people don't know, if you in real life you have that fear, you're never gonna have it.
Yeah.
So I had to break that fear, and I had to feel what's like to have $250,000, and it feels good. Even though I don't have it yet, I don't have 500,000 dirham, but the feeling of having 250,000 dirham, because it's all in the feeling. The mind doesn't know what's real or fake. If you watch a horror movie, the mind won't tell you that it's a movie. The mind will think what's happening in the movie it's real, and you can panic, you know. So that's how I trick my mind as well. My mind doesn't know that money is not real. My mind just know that we're rich.
I'm going to do that. Amazon. Okay, I've never heard of that one before.
I've heard some of the stories
of
people, or like visualizing a kind of a $20 note, like, but literally the front and back of like, and know it exactly. So you
what
go
it
to
looks
sleep
like.
just before you go to sleep. Yeah, I've heard similar things of people who've.
There we go. There's some tips there. Never heard of that one before. I want to keep this interactive. So any questions around money or the points or anything that resonates in terms of personality type, please ask, because there's a mic here. I want to hear your thoughts around this as well. Or manifestation, that would be really good. Okay, we've got Lydia.
Thank you. Okay. Alrighty. So first of all, thank you for this talk. And I so can relate with Eric, for example. You were homeless. And I think when it comes to homeless, it's so easy kind of like to find men who are homeless, right? But for women, because I experienced it before, it was like 8 years or 9 years ago. I was homeless. I was living in my car.
Wow.
Literally.
In Dubai?
No, in Malaysia.
Malaysia, okay.
And for you, I never budget about anything. And my family never taught me as well. But right now, I'm talking about right now, I never budget. But I always spend money, but not sporadically.
Yeah.
I manage money well, but at the same time, I never budget. But I always know money is always there. And every time I want to buy something, I never have to look at the price tag. I can just buy it. And I think that's really a relief. But at the same time, I want to ask you, like my personality type, what does that tell you? Or what does that tell me? Am I in one of the 5 categories, or is that something else?
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I think you probably have a couple of personalities that you've kind of talked about and kind of come. It'd be interesting to understand your story around how you came from that position to where you are now, because that'll probably tell you a bit about what personality you are now. Does that make sense in terms of how you've got to this point? Because I think it sounds like you've probably got a little bit of that mentality between kind of that saver and spender as well. Like if you're not worried about, I mean, you've in the perfect place, right? Like that's a great place to be. But obviously in terms of, are you thinking like long term as well? You're not worried about the future? I mean, there's lots of different questions that you would kind of like ask around kind of what do you want your money to do for you, and what do you want to achieve with it?
Well, I guess when it comes to money and thinking about the future, I know my future is going to work out anyways, and I know like how it's going to look like, and it's just something that I never really like look into budget. For example, even for my business, and I think as you run business, like you have to have the budget, right?
Yeah.
But I also know that every time I want to spend something, money is always there. And if I want to buy something that is out of my, let's say if I look at my bank account, it doesn't reflect on that amount. So give me 1 week or 2 or maximum 3 months, I'll get that.
Yeah.
So
no, that's a really good mentality to have. I think it's so important to think about the long term as well. So making sure that you have got that money for the long term. But I think it sounds like you've got the right medium of kind of like living for now, but also thinking about the future as well. Like having.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And just one more question
for Eric.
Yes,
interactive art. Yeah.
Is it okay? Okay. Eric, come back to the time then when you started, when you were homeless, and then when you transitioned to getting that 35,000 dirham. What was belief change? Because obviously coming back from previously, your mum always told you that, we don't have money, we can't buy this, we can't afford this, and all of this thing. Somehow we adapt that belief, right? So how do you change that belief, and what did you tell yourself when you believe that you will get it anyways?
So first of all, I think you need to be around great people. You need to be around great mindset, because that's what I've been doing. And if I wasn't around great mindset, if I wasn't around people who spend money, 10K on a dinner, make money, 20K in a day, if I wasn't around those kind of people, I think I would easily go back to Cameroon with that money. But because I was around those kind of people that spend money easily and make money easily, I was like, so it's possible to make more. That was something for me. Oh yeah, it's possible.
That's why I said making the impossible possible, because his story is crazy.
And you just gotta believe, even if you don't know how. Like I've never, when I got the 35,000, after I finished to spend on everything I needed, I didn't know how I was gonna make again money. I didn't know at all. Like nothing was working for me, nothing. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to put it off. I eventually, I focused on modeling only, and I was like, I'm gonna give everything to that, and I just pull out. Over the year, I just save money. So,
Madeline, yeah.
I have a question.
Let's see you, Madeline.
I have a small question. We were having a small debate in the back when you were giving the descriptions of the what was it? There was the different spenders, right? You had the spender, and then you had the saver, and you gave a percentage of 25 to 50% in terms of savings. So I was there with my calculator, and we were looking, and then I was saying to the ladies, I'm a saver. And she was like, no, you're a cheaper.
Oh.
Yeah, ouch. You should say ouch.
This is
but
a friend
what
though.
they mean, because you can save and you can also oversave.
Yeah.
I oversave because, no, I don't have a lot of money, but I oversave because when you are your own backup, you have no other ways.
Yeah.
But do you have practical ways? Because now they were like, oh, we're going shopping. I'm, like, I'm not. But do you have practical ways for because we always think of people that can't save, but oversavers, because in a way sometimes it's like a disease where you just can't. I think it's even beyond poverty mentality. People think it's poverty mentality. It's not that. You just think, right, I'm my own backup. What do I do? Do you have any practical ways to deal with that?
Yeah, so I think it's about what you've, like, thinking around kind of what we call, like, mindful spending as well. So, like, I think it sounds like you're in a great position there in terms of, like, you're obviously very focused on that. But, yeah, I think what you're saying there in terms of maybe a mix of the kind of saver and the hoarder mentality, because you're kind of, like you say, you want that backup. But I think it was probably helpful for you to maybe do a bit of a budget and think around, actually, where can I release this? And really thinking around the mindful spending, so those things that you value in life. So when I talk about budgeting, I really encourage people to mindful spend. So, for instance, for me, like, little things, like, I will never give up having, like, a coffee I go to the shop every single day, buy a coffee of whatever kind, and people have run up the budget for that, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're spending, like, hundreds of, like, dollars or whatever, like, on your coffee. So I was like, no, but that is the one thing that makes me happy in my life. And I think it's about really, like, there's probably some deep things there around kind of thinking about what makes you happy in life, and allowing yourself to feel that, because that's about being, like, financially well as well. So by spending money on the areas that you value in life, and then whilst having the saving mentality of, okay, I can still save this and I'm going to be okay. So I think it's about having that balance, without, like, knowing your personal situation or anything. But I think it's, as I said, it's about ensuring that you've got that balance and releasing a little bit more of, okay, I don't need to be as tight on myself, because, you know, maybe perhaps thinking of some of those, you know, YOLO aspects of you only live once kind of mentality of kind of enjoying life as well, and being good to yourself and, you know, kind to yourself as well.
Yeah, it's important.
That's the thing. I believe that I am. I mean, I spend. They don't. But I believe that I am. I have a cook. I have a driver. So I spend on those essential stuff. But I won't go to Louis Vuitton and buy a scarf, or I won't go and spend on luxury stuff that I can easily afford. So how do you go over that step? Because what I feel is basic, the driver, the cook, is enough to make me happy. So why do I have to go above and beyond?
So, I mean, you don't, it's about, like I said, it's all about what makes you happy then, in terms of what, as I said, it's about looking at your values and what you value in your life. And if you're happy with that, it doesn't, I know you're talking about your friends saying that, but, like, think about what you personally value and kind of what makes you happy. And that's the most important thing, right? So it's around kind of, like, a lot of what we think around is, like, don't compare yourself to others. Like you say, everybody will have different priorities in life. Mm-hmm. And so it's around thinking about what's your most important priority.
Thank you. Claudia, and then this lady here, Lindsay. Yeah,
Hi,
thank
so
you.
Following on from a question, I think I'm a bit of a saver as well. But then for those of us that are more cautious with this saving, you mentioned something about low-risk investment.
Yeah.
So I'm only aware of mutual funds, but do you have any other tips about low-risk investment for people that wouldn't want to do the high-risk investment that you could advise on?
So that's tips around low-risk investing?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's very important, as we talked about earlier, around starting small. So if you haven't done investing before, there is a lot of research to make sure that you're using the right platforms and you're understanding what you're investing in. But there are different platforms out there that allow you to start small, to build up your confidence. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people are kind of quite cautious about investing or giving money to a financial advisor, because they've seen people, I'm not going to, but like crypto, for instance, it's that kind of buzzword and everybody's heard of crypto. But if I'm honest, everyone knows someone who's won and lost on crypto, right? So I very much steer away. I tend to steer away from that. I think it's interesting as a topic and interesting. I think there is a future there in it. But for now, I think if you want to kind of play it safe, there are big brokerage accounts that you can kind of use. For instance, like, I won't list them all, but like Interactive Brokers, there's Saxo Bank, there's Sawa, there's different ones here, Vanguard. Like if you're in the UK, US, there's different ones that you can kind of use to obviously start small and do your research around kind of, like I say, diversifying. So thinking about different index funds. So one of the big, well-known index funds is kind of the S&P 500, top 500 companies in the US, which have naturally over time, there have been a few dips, but on the whole have gone up by like 11% a year or something over the last 50 to 100 years. But what I'm saying in those sort of things, you're investing in 500 companies. You're minimizing your risk because you're spreading that, and you can invest in small bits as well. And there's such things as like fractional shares. You don't have, so there's some of those big companies as well, like you can invest in different things. And I think I mentioned the real estate, there's real estate apps in Dubai that you can invest from 500 dirhams. So I think it's about picking the one that feels right to you. Do your research around it, start small, diversify, and think long term. Those are the biggest tips I would.
Toy, and that's I'm the same, very low risk. So when I started investing, and I did use a financial advisor, but she's a trusted financial advisor. But I know you're like, oh, don't. I literally called her 20 times. I'm like, am I going to lose my money? How low risk is this? When can I take my money? How can I? She was like, don't worry, because also it's that fear around. And when you're doing it for the first time, but it's minimal amounts over a long time. So it gives me that peace of mind. And it just reassures me that I'm building for mine and Zane's future as well. But I'm definitely low risk as well, Toy. I was like, please don't steal from me. So there was another lady here. We'll bring it forward then.
So first of all, thank you so much for sharing with us the nuggets and tips that you've shared. I feel very proud to be just seeing this come to life, especially for Sharon.
Thank you.
I have a question to Beth. You threw out a very important statistic of 60% of expats leave with less money than they came with to Dubai.
Yeah, don't tell me exactly. Like I've heard it quite a few. I couldn't quote you exactly where it came from. But
it's okay. It came from Finance How Well. So I'm just trying to think, because I think many of us here are expats, and in my head I'm like, what misconceptions have you seen with people about finances that probably guys have as expats that we need to change for us to also not get there in that statistic?
I think, as you said, I think one of the things that I found moving to Dubai, I've been here almost 2 years, but I think we talked about on your show, I was so surprised at how easy it is to get, like, money is thrown at you, loans-wise, credit cards. I only discovered the other day, I was like
someone's clapping.
Like, seriously, like, it's like that just, I was so shocked. I'm like, you know, I just ended up, I've got a call from Emirates or whatever it was, and they were like, we sent you a credit card. I was like, I didn't even ask for this credit card. I did not ask for this credit card. Why has this come to me? Like, and so I think there's so much, and it's so, I didn't realise how easy it is to get, like, the loans. Like, I feel like you have to go through different credit, I mean, there obviously are credit checks, but
it's different in the UK, isn't it?
It's a bit different, but the amount of free money that you're given at the start, and then suddenly you're kind of like whacked with these, like, 30% interest and like all your loans, and suddenly you're spiraling because you're like, oh, and I think this is one of the challenges, right? It's particularly with accommodation here, right? So you've got to put down like one check up front, and then there's all the challenges with that you obviously perhaps need to borrow money from that. And I think that's one of the biggest things in terms of, there's big setup costs when you get here, and then there's the kind of like loans and credit cards and things that you've got to take out to front all the initial things. And then sometimes you might be caught in a trap of kind of like paying them down and thinking about them. If you can, one of the things I do say is like always try and pay the monthly outstanding balance off. As long as you can do that until, like, so you don't fall into the spiral of the accumulating interest every single month, because that's one of the first things. So really being conscious about, if you, like, there's nothing wrong with taking out debt to get things, but be really mindful of when you're going to pay it off by. Do you feel comfortable, and can you? And this is where it comes back to where it is important to have a budget, in a sense, to really think about, okay, I know that I'm going to have to pay this amount off the loan each month, and this is what this means, but I can also save money to make sure that I'm kind of investing for the time when I want to go home, but I'm not leaving with all the debt. And I think there's so many different things that come with it, isn't it, as well as being mindful of, like, okay, I don't need to live a flashy lifestyle particularly. Like, it's okay to just be me and enjoy what I value whilst being here.
Yeah, I think it's discipline, because I know, Eric, when you're saying about your car, you paid cash.
Yes.
which is and which is fine or not. You know, some people do car finance and stuff, but I feel for you, you didn't want that type of like debt on you, or
The thing is, I don't know what's debt
Right.
in bank and everything. Like I didn't grow up with that, and also my mom, she couldn't even take a credit or
Right.
bank thing. So I don't know what it is. For me, when you have car, like if it's either you have money or you don't have money.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, mine was cash, and that's all I know. Basically.
yeah. There was oh, you got it.
Hi, thank you very much for setting up this powerful platform. It's funny, when you grow up, how your parents' voices ring in your head. And to answer a lot of the statements, I'm inspired to channel my mum right now. If she was in this room, she would say, having grown up in a medical home, very often she would say that in order for you to empty your stomach, you need to pass stuff out, right? So digestion is such an important part of your biology. As a result, she taught us with money, it's the same way. You hold on to stuff, that means you don't have space for anything more. So very much to your points, as you release, you actually find that that's a multiplier effect and you make so much more. And as a person who's worked in the financial services, I absolutely agree with you. There is a lot of money thrown at people, and you know, I actually kind of hate that about banks. So for people who are new in the region, I can say this with some experience, having been here over a decade, that yes, there's a lot on offer. Be very wise about what you choose to sign up for.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. Yeah, we'll go to the other side. See, and then we'll do
Okay, thank you. First of all, Sharon, thanks for having this event. It's really, really fantastic, a real eye-opener for me. Eric, my question is for you. And honestly, I'm really shocked when I hear your story, because obviously, we know each other, you're friends with my husband, and I never knew any of this at all. But where I'm coming from is I am a massive overthinker. I don't know where that falls into. I have been, I would say, planning for my retirement probably since the first day I started working. So that's just how I am naturally. And where I'm trying to put myself into your shoes to talk about the story you had and all the kind of harrowing events you had, and suddenly you had this money, right? And for me, what I would have done is I would calculate how much would it take for me to get home.
Yeah.
So I would think, okay, let's say 5,000. And I would say to myself, okay, that means that all of this is free to spend. I could spend the 30, but that 5, I would keep just so that if the worst happened, I would always be able to get back. But what fascinates me is that you somehow got it back down to 0, knowing everything that you'd been through, not knowing where the next dirham would come from. So I just really want to understand, like, what was your thought process there, and how were you so comfortable to let go and to release?
So it's because I was so used to have nothing, and I feel like that's the greatest thing that happened to me. If you never had nothing, you cannot really enjoy what is this to have something. So for me, I was so used to have nothing all the time that I was like, even now, I'm always saying to myself, like, when you have nothing to lose, you have everything to win. Even if I go back to homeless now, what did I lose? I just came back from there. So it was so easy for me. And I think that's where you find the strength of putting off things, because if you always had and you're trying to play it safe all the time, it's gonna be hard for you to like level up, because every step of the level up of your life, like every step of your life where you're trying to level up, you have to lose something. You have to take a risk. And me, like, for the moment I stepped my feet in Dubai, it was a risk. It was a risk of, I knew something like that could happen. I knew I could be homeless because I didn't know anybody here. I knew I could die from hunger here, which I nearly did. I was staying 3-4 days on my bed space without eating, after I finished to steal food from the fridge of the people who was living there, and they figured it out, and they were like, if we steal again, we throw you out. So I was just laying on my bed and not eating and waiting for the hunger to kill me. So at that point, I was like I really don't care. So when you get to that level, I'm like, there's nothing scary for me anymore, So that's why when it comes to business, as Beth was saying, like I don't have fear to invest in business or in me, because I know it's gonna benefit me. And even if I invest on a business, if I lose and I go back to zero, I had zero before, but at least I invest in something. And I know a lot of people who have money but never invest. So you can't say nothing to me because I invest. I know even if I lost, I know what this is to feel like investing, you know, and I can put the hand on the table and say, I invested somewhere, but you're scared and you have money. And also, it's come to the fact where I saw a lot of death around me. Going to school, my family, a lot of people die. My friend in school, a lot of people die. My best friend, 10 years of friendship, the one who gave me the idea of coming to Dubai, died. So I almost lost my brother from a heart attack, younger brother. I've nearly died. So for me, I'm like, even if I keep the money and I don't do things, you can still die and leave that money, you know. So I rather just do those things while I'm alive. And feeling alive is the best feeling ever. And knowing that while you're alive, you try things and those things fail and those things works, that's the best feeling. Because I think a lot of people don't realize how, like, we are sitting here all looking beautiful and we are alive, you know. And to get... And I feel like it's something very, very hard for people just to realize, because they take it for granted. Oh, we're alive. We're gonna wake up tomorrow. We're alive. But for me, it's because I've been so close to death and so close to the darkness that being here or sitting outside in the terrace sipping a coffee, that make me happy. I'm like, damn, I'm living. I'm alive, you know. So that's something as well.
Thank you.
Gosh.
Yeah, we'll go right. Yeah, and then we'll come.
I feel like I have to kind of respond back to what you said. I think it's quite fascinating how you've got that mindset, because your experience and what's around you would always shape how you look at money, which is the question I wanted to ask, but it was the other way. So my question's for you, Beth, and a bit of background to this. I was talking to someone that, in my opinion, very successful, very focused, and I was just asking them what was the sort of the push. And their view, they came from a working class family back in England, and their view was, there've been days where, you know, they couldn't get McDonald's. Back in the days, it's not something that accessible. They couldn't get McDonald's, and that's just been what pushed them, wanting to do better, having that mindset. And well, I speak for myself. I came from sort of a working class family as well, where we had the basic, everything was there. But things like flying to Maldives and the things you do nowadays were not an option. Based on the conversation everyone said, it's quite important and clear that your mindset and your personality towards money is based on your environment. So my question, which is a cheeky question, because I actually wanted to know the practical advice. I worry about my children and their mindset towards money. So for me, back home, McDonald's was a treat. If it's not on your birthday, it's like a special occasion. Whereas I have 2 kids. Oh, it's Thursday, it's McDonald's. And I just feel like, especially with being over here where, you know, kids would be like, oh, where are we going for holiday? Back in the days, yes, we're going to Kent, we go to Bristol. Now they're coming up with all these amazing exotic places. I'm worried about what would the motivation be for them to have the same sort of mindset of, let me work harder, let me be something in life. And the impact that how they growing up, having access to everything, would influence their personality. So what's the tip on how to fix that?
It's such a good.
Gosh, that is a really. It's a really good question. I've also got 2 little ones, and I'm very mindful around, like how we're talking about money and our approach. And I think you're totally right. Like being here, they are surrounded by families perhaps that have a lot of money, like that they can kind of think, and that money does come just thrown all this, like to the birthday parties. I don't know if anyone liked the birthday parties. I don't even get into the birthday parties here. Oh my word! Some of the birthday parties are like out another level. Like I can't even go there. But I think we try and just keep it quite realistic and go back to your values and what you. It's very much about how you value money and how you're telling that to your children. And I think it's about keeping it real and kind of being open and having open conversations with them about money. And that's really important. And that's what I do with my kids as well. Like when they're like, oh, can you just get that ice cream? No, I've started with my 5-year-old now, given a little dirhams, like if she's good, and then we put them, we save up, and there's like a little, like, because they only know little coins at this age, right? So there's a shop down the road that does 3 dirham ice cream. So she knows, I'm like, no, have you got enough? And have you done this? And they're like earning and understanding the importance of earning for money and that it doesn't come naturally. And we have those conversations, like she's still constantly like, Mummy, why are you always working? You're always working, you're always on the laptop. Because Mummy's got to earn. How do you think we can afford? And I have those questions back with her. How do you think we can afford to go on a holiday? Or how do you think we afford to go to these places? Because I have to earn. And the importance of those values and bringing it back. And it's about, as I said, very much about thinking about what makes you happy as a kind of a family unit and imparting like your relationship with money and the conversations as well, like that you're having in a family. They're listening. Yeah. And I think that's really important to be mindful of that. When you take it through the kind of children. But yeah, I think having open conversations with money from a very early age and telling them the importance and the value that surrounds them about money is absolutely key. And as I say, from 5 they're listening. Like they know those sort of things. So like, and like you say, like we're really mindful not to spoil them and, you know, trying to be, because we don't want them to feel like they can constantly have that. Yeah. But it is hard. It is really challenging because they're friends or family, you know, these parties you're going to, like I say, they're another level. But I hope that's helpful, but it's kind of just...
Yeah.
Hi, Sharon, how are you? Thank you for
Ali
this.
Was one of my divorce lawyers. I always claim Ali. He did the 2nd episode with me. I was like, are we legally allowed to do this?
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this great conversation. Thank you, Eric, for the inspiration. And my question is for Beth. Like, in big cities like Dubai, and we always cannot differentiate between wants and needs because we are already affected by the environment around us. So, like, we have a tendency to brag about what we own. So how to be grounded in your own like wants or needs and not be tempted into wants, a lot of wants that will affect your financial stability.
Yeah, no, it's a really important point, actually. And it goes back to the values piece that I talk around, kind of what do you really value? Because once you kind of associate one, like I say, when you're thinking about your wants, and actually, like I say, you might kind of you value going on holidays more than you do buying clothes for yourself, right? So it's about thinking around where you want to put your wants money, so as to speak, that makes you happy. And I think it's like you say, being grounded and not like there will always be someone richer than you and there'll be always someone poorer than you. And I think it's around thinking about what do I value most in my life and what do I want to get and what do I want to achieve? Why am I here in Dubai and what do I want to go in the future? But how can I live, like enjoy for today, but also think about tomorrow? So that's like very much kind of, and I say it is all about what you value. And I think I encourage you to have those conversations with money about like yourself and what you kind of really, where you want to position it. But as I said, it's about thinking in your mindset about not comparing in that environment that you're surrounding yourself with. So we talked about kind of being comfortable with the people that you're with, right? Because they have a huge influence on you as a person. So if you're feeling like you're around people that are kind of flashing the cash and you don't feel comfortable about that, maybe that's around associating like, or if it's like you're constantly seeing on social media people with all these flashy cars and like just switch off and be mindful and be conscious of those different forms that are kind of going in your mind.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah. Hello.
Thank you very much. Sharon, before I say anything about money, I just wanted to really congratulate you on this beautiful event.
Thank you.
I think you're really...
Oh, don't make me cry. I've been holding it together. Thank you.
I knew you were onto something really big when I saw your first podcast and I saw Silfat, that lady over there, gorgeous lady.
Oh, gosh, yes.
She was my coach for over a year. I had
Amazing
a massive
woman.
Transformation with her. Yeah. So if you've not heard her session, please go ahead. It's packed with so much wisdom. And yeah, thanks for this beautiful talk. I could so relate to Eric. Eric, thanks for your beautiful, vulnerable sharing, I could relate to it. And one thing that caught me in your line today, as you started, is like, I have a spiritual relationship with money, and that's something that I believe it's all about that faith that it's coming. When I graduated with 50,000 euros loan in Europe, and being like, oh, I need to go home, like this in the middle of crisis in 2008. Who's going to employ me? I was coming from this developing country, south of Europe, non-EU. I said, what do I do? 50,000 euros. Like, how do I get this money back? The bank was after me, putting me on a blacklist. I was like, wow, my life is gone, right? And out of nowhere, a job appeared. And then it's literally like just going back to some of the events where you just get into that level, as you say, surrender, you just let go, like what's the worst that can happen? I'm just gonna go home and cry and hide somewhere, right? So you really like tap into that other space, it's the other side of fear. There's something else that happens when you release that resistance and fear and whatever comes in that desperate moment, right? And yeah, so now like I'm an entrepreneur, I dropped a very safe life job in corporation.
Congratulations.
Sorry, not a corporation UN, but it's. I was wondering whether you have an archetype or like Beth, if you have a psychological mind of someone who really just gets into this space where you're like, okay, now I'm going all in. I'm now like exhausted all my savings. I invested in tech businesses, and with my husband, we're really like, okay, we're going for something bigger, but we are. You know, you're realizing you're nowhere near that safety and luxury and the kind of comfort you have when you know, oh, yeah, I have a job, I have a, you know, life. So where are you with those risk takers when you see them? All is gone.
Yeah, well, it's
something, the investment in something, obviously.
Yeah. No, it's an important one. I mean, probably a little bit of that kind of spend mentality, but you probably got some of that. You talked about investing, right? So you've got that mindset of kind of like probably a little bit of both that you kind of straddle there. And as I say, in your life that you've talked about, you've probably been through quite a few of those different things. But I think it sounds like you're in a really healthy space. But I think one of the things like the kind of money habits to really think about is kind of having that fund. I call it the emergency fund. We're not really talking too much about that, but making sure you've got that pot of money to try and fall back on if you kind of need. So I think it's great, definitely, like invest in those things that you believe in, but also have something as well that you have got that sort of fund as like, and sometimes that helps with a mentality of kind of that security aspect of feeling secure in case anything happens, right? So for a lot of entrepreneurs and, well, anybody in kind of jobs, a lot of what I encourage is to have kind of 3 to 6 months, ideally, of kind of your day-to-day expenses saved in a little pot so that for anything that ever would happen with your business or for whatever you've got wrong, you lose your job, which can happen, you've got something to fall back on. So I think it's about, it's great to be kind of have ambitious and have those opportunities, but also be mindful of kind of like, okay, I've also got this. But like you say, it goes back to that mindset piece, right? Where you're kind of, like you were talking about, like you're actually fine if you go down to zero, you're comfortable to be able to do that. And there's quite a few personalities, and that's totally fine. I would just encourage you as well, just from a practical perspective, to have just a pot of money that would have that safety net as well, just kind of in your head.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'd just like to congratulate Sharon for everything she's done. Many people have come to me and said, are you Tenji from Let's Talk DXB? So I just want to say thank you for your reach. The question that I have for Eric is really about, I think what's missing for me is the piece about the hard work that goes behind everything, because I think it's so easy to talk about, vision boards and goals and our dreams. I've come to many Decembers where I look at my vision board that I did in January and be like, didn't really tick those boxes. So what I'm looking for is just kind of how you stayed so kind of focused, the work that goes behind achieving those goals. Because I think we can all manifest, but behind that there has to be, the ability to bag the deal, to close the deal, to get the money. Could you just perhaps give us a bit more about that?
I think you need to understand something that not all goals are for you to make it happen. If something is not happening, you don't know, maybe you've been protected from something, you've been saved from something, like it's not maybe your part. And I'm saying that by experience. When I was jobless, I put a picture of cabin crew on my vision board because I wanted to be cabin crew and fly around the world. But when I sit back right now and I actually thought, if I was cabin crew, I grew up in Africa with violence, with trauma. If I was actually cabin crew, I think I would end up in jail. Because I think I will not handle the pressure of, because my ex was cabin crew, the pressure of how some people talk to you, the pressure of how passenger talk to you, the pressure of how your boss talk to you and make you feel like you're nothing. I'll lose my shit. So God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, for me is God, saved me from that. But it was my dream for so long and I had to give up on that. But looking back, it was the best decision that I'm so glad that it didn't happen. So that's one thing. Maybe that thing that you want for so much, maybe it's just not for you. Maybe you need to look around. Maybe something is trying to tell you something. And when it comes to the hard work, I think even the little step that you make will lead you to big things. It either is asking people, either is finding out, either is doing even the 1% of the job done, that will lead you somewhere.
Thank you. Ife, and then Saida.
Right. Thanks very much. My name is Ife. I just wanted to chip in on what Ali said, and I think her as well. She said she had been planning for retirement since probably the first day she started working. And he also talked about wants and needs, right, and being able to balance it. And in my own experience, the first time I ever, started to have or to do the hard thing was I encountered something, 21 questions. I remember I saved it, but I can't lay my hands on it now. But the one that struck me the most was, how much do you think it would cost you to leave without working from the age maybe 60 to 80 or 65 to 80 when you're not able to, do much? And that was my biggest, anchor to like, look, you need to get your shit together. And I think you just need to find your why, right? Why are you doing it? What is the end goal? What's the midterm goal? What's the long-term goal? For me, for example, when I moved into the region, rather than do 50, 30, 20, I flipped it on its head, and started, saving 50% of my, it was difficult, but I just saw it through. It's not like that these days, but yeah, I just needed to ramp up. Thank you.
Thank you, that's really helpful. Thank you, Ife.
You've heard this all afternoon, but congratulations again.
Oh, thank you.
And to the panelists as well, thanks so much for sharing such great wisdom. My name is Fiona, and it's just two comments really. One, I wanted to share with the lady that talked about parenting. I'd like to share something from my faith, Islam. Islam actually says, our prophet says that the first 7 years you play with your child, and that's how you teach them. The next 7 years is when you actually teach. And that's when you said, in terms of how do I then expose my kids and so forth, create the environment, expose them. And then the 7 years after that and thereafter, it's you're an advisor, effectively. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And then there's a lady here who asked about practical tips in terms of, I think what you were trying to ask is where do I put my money type of thing. Beth, maybe you can share the rule of 72. I don't know if you can speak to that.
And what, sorry?
The rule of 72?
Not
okay. Yeah. So I'll share. So the rule of 72 is an incredible formula that shows you that how you can double your money. And that's one way that I look at investments. It's a very basic thing. So if you take out your calculator, you divide 72 by the interest of whatever it is that you're investing in. So say on average, if you look at, you talked about index funds, so you look at the average is about 10%. So it'll take you, if you divide 72 divided by 10%, it'll take you 7.2 years to double your money. So it's a very simple equation. So whatever investment you look at, just use the rule of 7 to 2.
Thank
That's
you.
what I want to share.
I'm going to do that one. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello.
Thanks for having me on this beautiful platform.
Oh, thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for your very first podcast, because although we've asked a lot of questions around money and manifestation, I want to go back to how personal you were on your first episode talking about divorce. Because I think life is about love and about families. People have talked about their kids here today. There are probably people who are single looking for love in Dubai. You should definitely do an episode on dating in Dubai.
I did one. I did, actually, yeah. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Oh, no, I think I actually watched that one, actually, yeah. But no, what I wanted to say is, just because, I mean, you and I have talked about a couple of things, and we have an episode coming up.
We have one coming up,
And I did say to you, I don't think I'm even ready to talk about my divorce. But watching you, really being inspired by you, being brave enough to share that, but also listening to everybody. I think what I want to say is, in general, the thing that's coming up is betting on yourself, whether it's listening to you, Beth, or listening to you, Eric, or even listening to your story, or just what people are sharing today, is having the courage to take a bet on yourself. Whether you want to be an entrepreneur, the ladies left now, or there's something about work that you want to manifest for your life, that's the one thing. But ultimately, when I moved to Dubai, and also because of the self-selection process that happens in Dubai, everyone could appear perfect. And it's almost very hard to come across vulnerability. And I think that's why Let's Talk DXB is so successful. And congratulations to you. Thank you. Because ultimately, the friendships that thrive and push you forward, where people are not afraid to actually be honest, like, I slept in my car, or I haven't been great with my money, or there are things I need to do better in my life in general. So I just wanted to echo that theme around the room, and just to say thank you very much for everything that you're doing. Keep going.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have a few more, then I think we'll wrap up. Saida's here. Okay. Tess? Yeah, Tess, then we'll come to you, Saida.
Hi, Sharon, Beth, and Eric. It's so wonderful to hear you guys speak. Just to the point about the psychology of money, because that interests me. You said that the money mindset develops from the age of 5 to 6. How do you, in your practice, help individuals change that, which is embedded in them from such a young age? I'm going to speak about myself. I grew up in poverty, and for me, I have a hoarder and a saver mentality. However, with my kids, I give them an abundance because I never had. And I have to stop myself. So if my daughter said, "Can I have this?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Can I have that?" "Yeah." I can't stop because I never had anything. So how would you advise me? And just before you answer, I just want to speak to Eric. It's always darkest before the dawn. So you're in your dawn now. Welcome.
That was deep. Thank you.
So this, I think it's going back to your, sorry Tess, just going back to your point around kind of obviously your mindset in terms of changing that. I think, is that what you're kind of saying? Because I think so.
Yeah.
So I think it's about, like you say, bringing it back to being real in your values. So very much I would kind of question you, kind of like, what do you very much like value in your life? And I think it sounds like you kind of got the best of both worlds, that you've been through that and kind of encouraging, like letting them see what you went through, right? So having been open with them around what money can do as a tool and where it can get you in life, but being realistic and kind of bringing it back to the kind of values that you kind of have and that you impart on your children as well. And I think that's, like you said, I think being real, because many people that kind of I speak to as well have kind of been through similar sort of situations, but I think it's, like you say, bring it back to kind of what you value most and what you want for their future as well, right? So what do you want them to be like in the future, and kind of how would they value money? Because ultimately, like, obviously it's great to indulge them now, but what will that give them in the next 10, 20 years' time, right? You want to kind of set them up with a foundation now so that they value money and they're enjoying money and they see it as a good thing in their life, but they also see that there's an opportunity that they will necessarily may need to work for, in the future, and they can see that as a tool for good, is what I would kind of see that, but also something to kind of keep grounded in yourself.
Okay, the last few questions. Okay, Shamsa, let's see. Yeah, okay.
Hi, I'm Shami. Thank you so much, Sharon, and your team, and just for everyone being here. It's lovely. Thank you so much. And of course, the chef. Food is great.
Yeah, I'm going to bring him out. We have to do thank you, so just hold on. I think there's more food as well. So.
So my question is around the larger circle. We can make the decisions individually to want to save and to make these great changes, but if you have family, friends, and every other kind of relationship that you have that obviously affects how you spend money, what are the conversations that we need to have around with the people around us? If I decide today, okay, I'm not spending on going out and all of this, but obviously I now need to inform the people that I'm going out with. How do we have those conversations?
Yeah, it's a really interesting, it can be kind of quite challenging and feel quite restricted. I think we need to be open about money is one of the first things, and that's what I encourage very much people to be open, have those open conversations. You know what, I'm not going to, perhaps I'll miss out on these ones, or whatever it is thing, because actually I'm saving, I've got that holiday coming up, or I've got this, and actually I'm going to take some time, or could we do something low-key around mine, or whatever. Those sort of open conversations, and that's one of the things I really impart on people, is be open about it. Yeah. Don't be ashamed of the fact that you're perhaps can't afford to do this because you're putting your money somewhere else, and that's where you're diverting it. And that's like, by being open about that, you're encouraging them to think about that as well, because all that they might have just been like, oh, they've got so much money, and all I can see is everyone having loads of money and having loads of fun, and you might never know that they're probably having situations like, I can't say no. I can't say no because they'll judge me. And I think it's about having those conversations internally. And openly as well, like being open with friends and family about like being proud of, like, you know, if you're saving for a certain thing, like say, you know, I'm doing this, but I'm actually not. You know, we have in my group cycle of friends, like I have friends who say the same thing. You know, actually I'm going to miss on that because I know we've got that bigger thing coming up, or I've got this and that. Be open, and that's important to have those conversations.
I spent the 1 year saying, I've got school fees to pay. Don't invite me. So I've got school fees to pay. That was my thing, yeah. But it's important. And also being disciplined. Like if you don't want to go and you don't want to spend, you should feel comfortable to say, I don't want to do this. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Seda, yeah. And there was one lady in the corner, and then I think we're done, because I know you were waiting. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. Look at say, oh,
no, not today. Not today.
I was like, not today.
Okay, fine. I won't
look this
look
way.
So, as someone who tries really hard to just be mindful and just to live in the present moment, despite, you know, time flying by so quick, so fast, especially in this part of the world, Dubai, responsibilities, family, everything that you can think of course. I think, and I love what you said, Eric, earlier on about being just mindful and present and just living for the moment as well, obviously within means. I think it's also important to reflect on the past to see how far along you've come, and knowing Sharon and seeing through the good, the bad, the ugly, and the painful and everything in between. How much she's grown and how much this is the sort of stuff that we used to talk about and try and manifest on her behalf, but she did it herself. And Somi, she's the real rich auntie, by the way. Rich in experience and inspiration. So my question to Sharon directly is, no tears.
Oh. Go on.
For everyone who will have the pleasure of watching this today, what one piece of advice can you give people? It's been a year plus now.
Yeah.
How do you just move on and become a better person for it? What's your piece of advice?
It's still a journey. It's still very much a journey. Some days are better than others. Yeah, do you know what? And I hated those words were like, oh, you know, you will get through it. And I hated people telling me this, because I was like, it's hard and it hurts and everything that comes with it. But I think definitely Let's Talk is pain to purpose. And with my faith and my belief in God, I know he's definitely orchestrated this for my good, which I never would have thought I'd say about divorce. But I'm just so grateful that, thank you. I'm so grateful he gave me the strength to push through. So I think during challenging times, whether it's Eric's journey or anyone else that is facing something, I think you definitely have to try and push through, and you'll find yourself coming out as a very different person, because I never thought I'd be even up here crying saying the words divorce. So perseverance is needed, but I don't say that lightly because it's hard. And for me, prayer. Like, God is the one that has brought me to this point. God has created all of this. He gave me the idea and the grace to do it. So, I think it's just working through those challenges and just knowing that no storm lasts forever. That's kind of what I kept on telling myself. No storm lasts forever. Held out, I knew it. Last lady? Okay, yeah, thank you.
Hi, Sharon. So
Hello.
I know you've heard this quite a bit, but congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the panelists. I think this was such a needed conversation. My question is actually for you, Sharon, and it's a good follow-up from what she asked. It's, did you ever see this? When did you see this? And how, is it anything like you envisioned?
Did I ever see, if you asked me maybe a year and a half ago that I'll be sitting here with makeup, no way. That was definitely not. I think when I started Let's Talk, it was just like I needed a space to talk about real stuff. I'd been in Dubai for 10 years, and I felt like there was a lot of, let's go for brunch, and there's ladies' night, and I'm literally like navigating my new season, being a single mom, how I'm gonna look after Zayn. So I think it just got to this boiling point where I was like, I'm just gonna release in the most unusual way, because this is not like me. And then as it grew, and I had a conversation with Ali, with Madeline, with Tenji, with Bev, with Eric, with so many people that are here today, I was like, I think this is needed. I think it's a platform that's needed, and it fills me with so much joy. So I was like, why not do it? And then I would say this today, maybe about 8 months ago or so, I was like, I'm gonna do a live conversation. I think it's time to bring the community together. And I was just working on what this would look like since then. But yeah, I never would have thought I'm sitting here like this. No, it's overwhelming. I feel like it's a bit of a dream. So yeah, no, but I'm very grateful. Thank you. Okay, well, I think that's a good wrap up, because my makeup has to hold, okay? I've still got Franklin here. So I just wanted to thank every single person. Like, honestly, I know the word thank you probably doesn't mean as much as what I actually feel. Like, I'm so grateful for everybody coming, giving their time, encouraging me, messaging me, like everything that you're all doing. Thank you. You've definitely grown to be a village and support for me as well. Eric and Beth, I feel like I've got long life friends now. You can't, sorry, you're not going to lose me. I'm so grateful. When we talk about friendship, we've got an episode with Dr. Bissy as well on friendships in Dubai. But in terms of your community and your village and your network, and through my journey, I'm just exposed to so many great people. So I'm very grateful for your time and your wisdom and your encouragement. I have a team behind me, because it does take a village, so I have to do thank you. So please be patient with Joanna, Shreya, Somi, Anne, I don't know where she's gone, Claudia. Firstly, thank you so much. Honestly, I'm learning slowly about asking for help. This is something I've never been good at. And then when I started this, I was like, okay, I need to ask for speakers to give me their time. Although I know you guys, I even felt a bit awkward asking, but we got there. And then I was like, I need to ask for help. And I had a whole speech, and I've known these people for ages. And I was like, I'm just gonna say this, and maybe they can do a bit of this. And it was literally like, put me in the WhatsApp group, tell me what you need. Somebody was like, what uniform do I have to wear? What time do I need to be here? Like, what? I'm so grateful and so lucky to have you guys. I really appreciate you so much. And they're so busy and they work and everything. And Claudia just landed this morning and is here handing out mics. So I'm so grateful. Can we try with Chef MISSAH? And then I have to go to these guys as well. I don't know if he's busy, but let's see if we can bring him. The Podster team. So my journey started in Podster, in the small room that they had in the BBC studios, and it was Marwan. And I walked in, I was like, I think I'm going to do a podcast, but I don't want my face to be displayed. It just has to be my voice. Don't record me. No, you have to be on camera. It's such a sensitive topic. It's so authentic. And I did it. And he was behind the scenes, just gracefully. Yeah. Listening to me and Anne go on and me cry, and he didn't embarrass me at all. And the whole team here, since then, I've used their studio is fantastic. I use their studio, that's why I record. And they're growing. Like, we started from one office. You just opened in Singapore. You've got 9 locations now. I've seen you opening in a bar. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then I called the founders and I was like, I'm doing, again, my speech, my sales speech. She was like, yeah, we're there. Like, just tell us what you need. So I have mics and I have footage and everything else that comes with it, and lighting, because they just were willing to support me. So I'm so grateful. Franklin, the guy with the camera, we just met in person today, and he's been so patient with me because I'm like, give me 1 minute, give me 1 minute. He's a fantastic photographer. Like, I'll share his details somehow so you can see his work. But this was definitely a celebration for me. It's been a year of, not really celebrating myself, and I'm thankful that you're here to capture that for me. So thank you so much. Chef MISSAH, come. This is Chef, come out. No, come out. You've been working hard in the kitchen. This guy, again, I called him, we'd met maybe twice. Tenji, the Moyoka event, I tried his amazing food. And I was like, I'm doing this event, I'm not gonna make a profit, but I want everyone to have a great time and I want them to have an experience, and your food is so good, and da-da-da-da-da. He was like, yeah, I'll come. And he's working full time, and he took the day off. He prepped yesterday, he's been in the kitchen. Yeah, and you've only now just seen people. There's people in the room, MISSAH. This is who you're feeding. So I just want to say thank you so much for helping me with this as well and feeding all of us. I think there's still food, right? Yeah, there is. So if you want to stay, let's finish the food. I'm a big feeder. So yeah. And it's everyone that's been part of Let's Talk DXB, like Tenji, Madeline, Ali, I'm missing people, Tess, like Beth, Eric, sorry if I've missed your names, I'm trying to spot you, and Lorna, of course, yeah, I'm just so thankful for your time and just helping me, especially some of this was first time we're meeting, and you're like, yeah, I'll come, and they're all busy, a lot of them are lawyers, so they're even busier, so I'm so grateful, yeah, and thank you to you all. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah, I think we're good. Joe's like, so please, there's more food, there's more drink, chill, feel relaxed, and then, yeah. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry. No, wait, sorry. I need to finish properly, actually, sorry. So, Beth is launching a masterclass tomorrow, yeah? On everything you've heard today, tips, it's an online course, so, and also she gives coaching and advice as well. So maybe tell us a bit more about that, because I think that's important.
Yeah. So, launching a masterclass, but it's a mini course, foundation course on how to build a healthy, wealthy mindset. So that's coming out tomorrow. So we'll send a link round following this. So if you're all interested, it's very much a foundational course, and then we build on that to go through how to kind of manage money more from that.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to sign up to that. Eric obviously started his online course, so Eric Fit Academy. So anyone within the modelling industry or wants to learn more about modelling, obviously he's doing it. He's living proof, and he's also a mindset mentor. As you can tell, he's living proof of how it works. So please speak to him, learn more about what he's doing as well.
And I'm writing a book as well.
Oh, and he's writing a book. I missed that part.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it then. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's Talk DXB. Real conversations by real people.